Hello everyone and welcome back to Milo Farms. Well, tonight we're taking a look at this best nozzle on an American Turbine SD-309 pump. And what we're going to be doing tonight is checking the bushings in the nozzle here and then replacing the bushings that are on the upper shaft right here and the lower shaft in the same place, and also replacing the seal that goes around the circular part there where it swivels. Then we'll also be checking everything out and making sure we put some anti-seize on it when it all goes back together. I've already replaced the bushings out here in the front, or at least the front that's facing towards us, which would be the rear. But in the reverse bucket, I already replaced those bushings in there. But we're going to go ahead and start taking things apart here. We'll go ahead and release the little bolt right here that holds the reverse lever. And then we'll go ahead and take out the bolt here and here to get that bucket off. Then we'll start taking a look at the rest of it. So now that we've got the reverse bucket removed, we're going to go ahead and start taking off the actual nozzle piece. So first we're going to go ahead and loosen this screw right here and try to get this piece off the top. Then we're going to figure out how the two pins come out. There's a pin up on top and a pin down there on the bottom. So I removed the set screw from this hole right here, and the pin dropped out the bottom. Remove the set screw from this hole right here, and now this piece is loose. However, this bolt here I'm having a hard time getting out. I put a little bit of lubricant on there and tried to work it back and forth, but I think the tip of this bolt is worn a little bit and doesn't want to back out through those threads. So I'm going to try to get a bigger Allen wrench and see if we can get it out. Well, we finally got that bolt out. Turns out the bolt was slightly bent and worn on the end where it was kind of mushroomed out. So I had quite a time getting that out. Gonna have to run a tap through that hole to get it all cleaned up. And then we'll go ahead and get a new bolt for that as well. So now we're gonna go ahead and take the steering piece off the top. And then this pin should be able to get free. And there's several keys on that, little Woodruff keys I think they're called. You can see one right there. Now that we've got the nozzle out, you want to pay special attention. There's a Woodruff key in the bottom of this pin and also at the top. Those were a little rusty and kind of stuck in there, so when we put those back, we'll make sure we put some anti-seize on them. Right here is where that bolt was that was all torn up, running against that face. And then it looks like this bolt over here, for some reason, was not quite in the groove it was supposed to be in. It was running over there. So when you put this back, you want to make sure the largest flat face is at the top, facing the back of the boat. Alright, there is inside of the back of the pump. So it's a good time to lubricate that grease zerk in there if you need to. But here's the bushing right here, the lower one. We'll take that one out. And then right here at the top is the upper one. So we're going to replace both those. Then everything else looks pretty good here. Nothing's really torn up. There's some decent wear in here where that pivots back and forth, but hopefully our new piece that we're going to put in there is going to tighten up some of that gap in there. So here is the nozzle. You can see right here is the piece we're going to be replacing, this Teflon or some kind of material. It's eaten off pretty well on all the edges here, and then the bottom it's eaten off even worse where it's been pivoting there. So we'll go ahead and try to pop that old one off and then try to get the new one on. So it's a little tough to get a profile of that gasket that we took off, but you can see it's round all the way around to here. And if the camera will focus, it's basically squared off on the other side. That's the part that seals against the inside there where it pivots back and forth. So there's the new one on right there. Everything looks good. So we'll go ahead and start putting this back together. So we got the bottom pin put in and the bottom screw put in. Then we had to push this back pretty tight against the new seal to get the top pin in. And then you have to push it all the way down through so it comes out the bottom right here. Put the Woodruff pin on the back side and then slide it back up to be in the right spot. And you can see once it's in there now, it allows it to pivot back and forth, but there's no longer any real play in the nozzle. It's tight, and it's also sealed as best as it can be around this pivot point. So this up and down play that was probably a 1/4 inch is now down to maybe a 1/16. And when you turn it side to side, it actually has some drag that's going to have to break in just a little bit. So now we're going to go ahead, I'm going to get a tap and run it through here. And then we'll go ahead and tighten that up with the new bolt. All right, so we got the set screw back in here. We've got the top back on and both of the Woodruff keys in there. And so they're ready to go. This bolt right here, I'm going to run the tap through that and then have to pick up a new bolt tomorrow because that bolt's not going to work. So last thing, we'll go ahead and put the bucket back on. So there it is, all back together. Tomorrow we're going to get those couple of bolts that I need to replace, and both of those are just hardware store deals that are stainless, it looks like, so that shouldn't be too big a deal. But everything should be good, put back together. I always like to go very liberally on the anti-seize on any of these components, so once I'm done here I'll go ahead and wipe that off, whatever's left, and that should take care of it. So lots tighter, and it should seal a little bit better and get the RPMs down just a little bit because we're not wasting as much water around the edges there. It also will tighten it up and make it a little less sloppy. So I hope everybody enjoyed the video. Remember, you can't finish a project without getting started.